Former state leaders remember Julian Carroll, a former Kentucky governor, state representative, and senator. And if Santa is planning on bringing in a new four-legged friend for Christmas, one animal shelter wants to remind you that those presents should not be returned.
Plus, the forecast is looking sunny for much of this week. Those details coming up as Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
People are remembering the life and legacy of a former Kentucky governor. Julian Carroll died Sunday at the age of 92. He served as governor in the mid to late 1970s. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to some of those who knew him well.
Julian Carroll, one of the few that has served in two of the branches of government, the legislative and the executive. Julian Carroll was a state representative, even Speaker of the House. Then he served as lieutenant governor, then governor, and then served in the Kentucky State Senate. And people that knew him say that in a lot of ways he was a mentor to many. Carroll came from Western Kentucky, but after serving as lieutenant governor and then governor, he stayed to make Frankfort his home. People say that he didn't just lead, he was an example to many others who wanted careers in public service and politics. Crit Llewellyn worked for his campaign for governor in 1975 and later served in numerous statewide roles, all because of the leadership she saw in him.
Attracted young people around him. And even after his administration, for decades, there were young people who went on to long careers in public service because of him. I was one of them.
When asked what his legacy will be, many point to a number of different things, from state parks to education and infrastructure, saying that he simply did a lot to improve a lot of things across the state of Kentucky. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
Phil, thank you. Carroll was governor during several big news events in eastern Kentucky, including the 1977 flood and the Scotia mine disaster in Letcher County. We are still waiting to hear the final plans for Carroll's funeral.
After some gloomy, also chilly weather to kick off this work week, we are tracking some clearing skies as we go into this afternoon. Also this evening, here's a live look from the WYMT studio. You can see over in Perry County, we are tracking some clearing skies. If we can take a look at that camera over in Perry County, that current temperature 37 degrees, and most of us right now are below average. We should be close to 49, and most of us in the middle to lower 40s and some 30s on the way as well as we go into the Big Sandy Valley. 34 in Pikeville, also Grundy, 43 in Somerset, also Manchester, 41 for Middlesboro, also Jonesville at this hour. On the radar, we are dry as high pressure begins to take over, and that will be the big story for much of this week as this weather system sits over the region. We are tracking dry weather, also some more sunny weather as early as tomorrow. As you can see, those rain chances, not a drop for the next several days. Watching out for possibly that next weather system by Sunday and Monday of next week, but until then, we are tracking plenty of blue sky, also sunshine, and those temperatures topping out close to average back in the upper 40s and lower 50s. Your full 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. The Supreme Court dismissed several cases on federal government COVID vaccine mandates today. Those cases were filed against a pandemic-era mandate that required government workers to get vaccinated. In two of those cases, lower courts ruled against challengers to the mandate. In one, a lower court ruled in favor. The Biden administration rescinded vaccine requirements for federal workers back in May. The justices determined that makes the cases moot. One Eastern Kentucky organization is creating a support group for folks still feeling the long-term effects of COVID-19. The Disability Resource Center in Hazard offers resources to folks in 7 counties, ranging from peer support to transitional living. Social support specialist Anna Bowman says COVID had a big impact on the region, saying folks in the community are continuing to struggle.
And people are continuing to have problems breathing. They're having problems with their memory. A lot of people now have heart conditions. They've been diagnosed with heart problems since having COVID.
Bowman says they want to give folks the opportunity to know they are not alone and offer them the help they need. We'll have more on how they hope this new resource impacts the community tonight at 6. Animal shelters across the region are continuing to deal with overcrowding. The Kentucky River Regional Animal Shelter in Hazard is running beyond max capacity as the staff is working each day to get animals transported out while also ensuring the 200+ animals receive the best care possible. President Tony Vaughn says folks need to know what they are committing to if their child asks for a pet for Christmas.
What is the long-term future of that animal? You know, is it going to make it past next Christmas or past March? Seriously consider that before you just give them a puppy for Christmas, or a kitten, or any kind of animal.
Vaughn says asking yourself those questions is key, stressing that the shelter is not a place for folks to drop off an animal once a family decides they are not fit to take care of it a couple of months after Christmas. One of the defendants in the RICO trial of Atlanta area gang Young Slime Life was stabbed in jail in Fulton County, Georgia. The Fulton County Sheriff's Department says Shannon Stillwell is still in the hospital. Stillwell is facing several counts, including 2 murder charges under the state's Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, known as RICO. 24 other people were charged, including Grammy-winning rapper Young Thug. Actor Jonathan Majors' assault trial resumed today following a break over the weekend. An expert on domestic violence was scheduled to testify, but Judge Michael Gaffey, who is presiding over the proceedings, issued limitations on what the expert can say. Last week, the court learned about text messages relating to an incident in September 2022, which suggested the actor had injured Grace Jabari's head and then urged her not to report it to the hospital. Coming up on First at 4, the nominations for the Golden Globe Awards are in, which actors and productions are in the running for those awards next month.
And as skies clear this evening, also tonight, we are tracking some chilly weather. Those details coming up after this break.